I've been told that my kid has rejection-sensitive dysphoria. I've never heard of this diagnosis. What is it? What does it mean? Did I do something to cause it? And how do I handle it as a post-traumatic parent? If you're a post-traumatic parent and you're wondering about some acronym that's been applied to your kid and you want help because as a post-traumatic parent, that seems like a big challenge, click subscribe below so you never miss another episode. So first of all, what is rejection-sensitive dysphoria? So hi, I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. We're going to break down some common parenting questions that post-traumatic parents ask. Because if you've ever asked yourself, I know what I don't want to do as a parent, but I don't know what I actually do want to do, then you're in the right place. If you want to go from cycle breaker to cycle maker, hi, welcome. We get it. We've been there. We're post-traumatic parents too. So rejection-sensitive dysphoria is not actually a diagnosis. It's not, you're not going to find it in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual, that catalogs all the disorders that a person could possibly have, anything from ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, to schizophrenia, right? You're not going to find it in there. Rejection-sensitive dysphoria is instead a cluster of symptoms that seem to go together a lot. You can very often see it in ADHD or ASD, so children who are not neurotypical, who are neuroatypical in some way, you will see rejection-sensitive dysphoria, in many of them, but it is not in and of itself its own diagnosis. So what is it? It's an intense emotional response to perceived or actual rejection or criticism or failure. So in other words, if a child feels like someone's leaving them out, someone's criticizing them, someone is thinking criticism and isn't even saying it out loud, and they feel that really deeply and really hard, like in their core, like this is so painful and threatening, that's RSD. It is not a diagnosis. There's no such condition. But like I said, it very often does come up in neurodiverse kids. So the first thing you need to know about RSD is, what is it? Extreme sensitivity to rejection. A lot of emotional pain, real intense pain when they perceive that they've been rejected or criticized, even if it's just a perception and it hasn't actually happened. And it also can apply to a situation before the kid is rejected, when they anticipate being rejected, which, as you can imagine, sometimes limits opportunities for exploration and growth, because you're not going to try new things. You're not going to call someone up and say, hi, can I come over and play? If you anticipate she might say no, and then that's going to hurt so badly that you can't tolerate it, so you're probably not going to call her. And she might have said yes. Or she might have said, well, today's not a good day, but how about next Tuesday? And you didn't get a yes for today, but you did get a yes, and that's the beginning of a beautiful friendship that's going to last for a lifetime. The second important criteria for RSD is emotional intensity, which is, it's a disproportionate reaction. Like, Lucy says, no, I don't think I want to play today. And so if we don't have RSD and, you call your friend and you say, hi, do you want to play? And she says no. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would hope that discomfort and rejection, because it is a slight rejection, and we know even slight rejection hurts, it should be a 1 or a 2. Right? When I do this with kids, I very often use their body. So if I'm going to use this teddy bear, is it up to your toes? Is it up to your belly? Is it up to your chin? Is it up to your nose? Is it up to the top of your head? Is it above you? Is it so big? Right? It should be like at your toes. Hi, Lucy, want to come over and play? No, sorry, not this week. It's not a good week for me. It should be a 2. What happens though when the child experiences it up here, right? And with this teddy bear, it's like, it's terrible, right? It's the worst thing ever. So that feels very disproportionate, and it can be like intense rage or intense pain, devastation, anger, embarrassment, humiliation. But what actually happened? no, not today. And then we have that impact on their self-esteem, right? Everyone hates me. Nobody wants to be friends with me. Why would anyone want to be friends with me? I'm basically a loser. I don't deserve to live. Like those kinds of feelings. Remember, after Lucy, want to come over to play? No, not this week, right? So they really feel, and this is not being dramatic, a kid with RSD really feels completely unworthy because of what other people would perceive as a mild, low-level, toe-level, rejection, criticism, or failure. And keep in mind, in some ways, like elementary school life is kind of full of opportunities for rejection, criticism, and failure. You raise your hand in class, the teacher says, who knows what the capital of whatever is, and you raise your hand and you say the wrong answer. And maybe your teacher is like, no, that's not actually correct. Let's ask someone else, right? And the teacher wasn't even mean, but you feel like the teacher thinks you're an idiot. Or, a kid snickers. It's painful, right? We're rising up to it doesn't feel good to have a friend laugh at you. But does that mean you need to jump off the nearest bridge? No. But that's how it feels. It feels really painful. And really trying things out, getting up on the tricky bars and trying to go from bar to bar and failing is kind of how we learn and how we build our muscles. Trying to learn how to, pump a swing or jump rope or do a somersault or throw and catch a ball or, or make contact between ball and bat. I mean, these are things that we do and we often fail at the first time we try, but we have to keep trying. But if you have RSD, the thought of keep trying is almost too painful and it's really hard. And then you have a lot of course, that avoidance behavior, because if it's too painful, why would you do it? If the risk of, if someone's told me that if I call my friend Lucy and I invite her over and she says no, then they're going to come over to me and they're going to, beat me bloody. They're going to come over to me and they're going to burn me. I would not make that call. I don't want that aversive thing to happen afterwards. That sensation can feel like an electric shock when she says no. So yeah, then you're going to avoid, and that's risky. The more you avoid, the less friends you have. The less friends you have, the more this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You start to see the problems. Sometimes kids with RSD act out. They get mad. They lash back out. So, mom says, kid says, okay, look, Mom, I finished my homework. Mom says, oh, you didn't actually finish. Look, there's these 5 examples that you didn't do. And kid feels that RSD, like she's criticizing me, she's judging me, and starts yelling at mom how mean she is and how she doesn't love him, and she's the meanest mother in the world, and he hates her. Because that sensation of, oh, could have done a better job, let's fix this a little bit, that feels intolerable. Now, there's a high connection between RSD and a lot of conditions. Like I said, a lot of neurodiversities. For example, ADHD, pretty common with ADHD because ADHD very often comes along with difficulties with emotion regulation. I'm going to say that again. When you have difficulties with emotion regulation, rejection sensitive dysphoria is going to be higher because you can't regulate that initial sensation of, Lucy said no, she hates me, my life is over, I can't handle this anymore. People with mood disorders frequently have RSD, and people with social anxiety have RSD. The question, of course, with social anxiety is what came first? Is it RSD that led to the social anxiety because you didn't explore and try to make friends because rejection felt so threatening? Or did social anxiety make rejection feel threatening, which then became its own problem of RSD, which took on a life of its own? So, now let's talk about a post-traumatic parent who's parenting a kid with RSD. So when you're a post-traumatic parent, right, emotional regulation is very often difficult. It's very often a problem. We know a lot of post-traumatic parents have what we call hyperarousal, right? Our emotions are easily triggered. Our stress levels are very often close to the top. So when we have that, when we become easily emotionally reactive, when we're easily startled, then our child gets really mad and goes from 0 to 60 in half a second, then it's very easy to go into this spiral where he's mad, so I'm mad, so I'm mad, so he's mad, and it turns into this whole yelling match or this overreactivity or both of us going to shut down but being really mad. keep in mind that the fact that your kid getting very distressed, very angry, very, very critical of you, lashing out, the fact that that upsets you so much is actually a sign of good attachment, because we know that emotions are contagious, and the closer you feel to a person, the more contagious their emotions are to you. So if your child's emotions are very contagious to you, so they get mad, it gets you mad, that means you have good attachment. It means you love them. You care so much about them. Your mirror neurons are firing in response to their mirror neurons. You love them and they love you. That's why their distress distresses you. So as a post-traumatic parent, the first thing you need to think about is, if your kid's RSD triggers you intensely, don't judge yourself. Don't say to yourself, oh my goodness, what kind of a bad parent am I? My kid got mad at me, so I yelled back. It's what kind of a good parent am I, that when my kid got really mad, it triggered a lot of emotions in me. Now what do I want to do about it? Because I am the adult in the room. So I need to help my child handle their RSD while I manage my own emotional reactivity, so that this is going to work. And maybe for me as a parent, that means I need to really empty my stress levels before this kid comes home. So maybe I very mindfully do some exercise, hydrate, eat and restore my blood sugar, get rid of my phone because my phone might dysregulate me, and just focus on this kid when they come home, so that I have most of my stress emptied out, so that when they come home, I won't be as reactive. Because, if my bucket is full of stress, I very often use the analogy of, the Coke bottle and the Mentos. If you have a bottle and it's full of Coke and you drop in a Mentos, Coke is going to explode everywhere, and there's going to be this giant explosion. If you have most of the Coke is poured out of the bottle, and then there's a drop of Coke in the very bottom, and you drop in Mentos, the bottle's going to fizz a little bit, but the Coke is not going out of the bottle. So in the same way, empty out your stress. That's like pouring the Coke out of the bottle. So when the kid comes home, yeah, it'll stress you out when they get stressed out, but not so much that you're going to explode. Now, keep in mind that a lot of times kids with RSD will misinterpret, and they'll read your mind wrongly. Like, you're thinking criticism at me, but you aren't. So we have to work with them on, okay, I see that you feel criticized. I'm really thinking loving, happy thoughts towards you right now. How do we make what you're perceiving and what I'm doing mesh a little bit more? How do we figure that out, right? And sometimes it means not arguing. I could tell that you're thinking that about me. Must be hard to think that I'm thinking that about you. It must be really difficult. What would it mean if I was thinking that? Does it mean that I love you less? Even if I was thinking, oh, yeah, she could have done a better job on that. Does that mean I love you less? Does that mean you're a failure because you got one math problem wrong? And then have that conversation about feedback is the recipe for how to be my friend. Sometimes I want to give you feedback to help you improve. Like, your answer to number 7 was wrong, and if I can teach you how to do it right, then you'll know this math trick for the rest of your life, and then you'll get it right, and then you'll know it. And then your math file information, the math information file in your brain will be updated. And then you'll know it. That's all. Not saying anything about your worth as a human because your answer to number 7 was wrong. So you sort of try to bring it back down to size. I get it. You might even say to a kid, depending on their age, Mr. RSD in your brain is talking a lot to you. Right? And Mr. RSD is telling you, let's have a huge reaction to this relatively small problem, right? Let's see if we could beat Mr. RSD and not let him do that to you. But of course, you might not do that in the moment. You might do that when the kid is calm. Let's come up with a plan for when you feel like you're being criticized, but maybe nobody meant to criticize you. Let's come up with a plan for where you're going to be so brave because you're going to call Lucy knowing that she might say, no, I don't have time to come over today. And you're going to have that reaction of ouch, and okay, her loss, she probably was busy. I'm going to call Sarah instead. So let's practice that. Let's learn how to handle that. so that I don't get so emotionally dysregulated and you don't get so emotionally dysregulated. Because let's remember, in the end, I love you and you love me, right? And we really do want to be mutual support to each other. Yeah, both of us have emotions that get really big, really fast. We get that from each other. That's okay. And we love each other very much, so we're going to figure it out together. And the last thing I think that most post-traumatic parents need to know, which is that question of, did I do this? Is this my fault? Did I do this to my kid? No. This is about your child's wiring. This is about your child's neurology. You did this to your kid in one way, and that's genetically, like you passed down half of their genes to them, and for some reason your genes in interaction with whoever else's genes mixed together in a way that created a brain that's prone to RSD. But you did not abuse them or harm them or do something wrong or say something wrong when they were 11 months old that caused them to have RSD today. So don't beat yourself up about it. It's simply the way they're wired. The good news is kids with RSD very often have passion in their personalities. They care deeply. And caring deeply, when you've taught yourself to be okay with the occasional rejection, criticism, or failure, can be a huge psychological strength and superpower. We just have to get there. So I hope this allays your fears. I hope that you now understand how to parent your kid with RSD and what to do about it. If you still have more questions, please comment below. If you're a post-traumatic parent and you have a question about post-traumatic parenting, you want to share your post-traumatic parenting journey, please click subscribe below so that you never miss another episode of this channel. And also please comment and let me know what you think. If you have a question, if you've experienced RSD, or if you're parenting a kid with RSD, let us know how it's gone for you, what your tips and tricks are, what you've found works for you. And if you want to hang out with other post-traumatic parents, check out the post-traumatic parenting community. We're on Instagram at Dr. Kozlowitz Psychology. And you can also find the post-traumatic parenting podcast available wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned for the post-traumatic parenting book. It is coming out sometime between January and June of 2025. So we are looking very forward to that. If you have any topic, question, comment, concern, anything you would like us to talk about in upcoming videos, please comment below so that we can make sure that that happens. Till next time.